The dust rises in whirlwinds. Gunshots echo, and legends are forged in the crucible of the American West. It is a landscape painted with bold strokes of heroism, villainy, and untamable freedom, a place where iconic figures emerge from the arid earth to become larger than life itself. We are fed a constant diet of paperback novels, Hollywood blockbusters, and campfire tales, each cementing a romanticized vision of a bygone era. But what if I told you that much of what you think you know about the Old West is a carefully constructed facade? What if the thrilling narratives you have embraced are, in fact, nothing more than terrible lies, designed to obscure a far more complex, brutal, and frequently mundane reality? Today, we ride into the heart of these beloved myths. Tighten your saddle, because we are about to unearth 10 Old West legends that are, in fact, terrible lies you believe. Prepare to have your perceptions shattered, your heroes questioned, and your understanding of the frontier irrevocably changed. This is not the West of your childhood dreams. This is the West as it truly was, stripped of its romanticized veneer. Let us ride. First, the legendary gunfight at the OK Corral. You picture Wyatt Earp, cool and calculating, standing alongside his brothers and Doc Holliday, facing the villainous Clantons and McClorys in a valiant defense of law and order. The image is one of honor, courage, and relentless justice under the scorching tombstone sun. But the truth? It is a chaotic, brief, and incredibly messy affair, lasting mere seconds, fought in a narrow alley, not an open corral. And it is less about justice and more about long-standing personal grudges, political rivalries, and control over Tombstone's lucrative gambling and prostitution schemes. The air does not vibrate with the tension of an honorable duel, but with the smell of cheap gunpowder and the raw fear that precedes sudden death. Wyatt Earp is far from the incorruptible lawman portrayed in cinema. He is a complex figure, frequently operating on the margins of legality itself, with a history of questionable dealings and a reputation for violence. The gunfight is less a moral triumph and more a bloody culmination of mounting tensions between two factions vying for power in a Silver City in full ferment. To paint it as a clear battle between good and evil is to ignore the murky realities of frontier justice and the ambiguous morality of its supposed heroes. The myth serves to simplify a complicated power struggle into an easily digestible narrative of righteous triumph, when the truth is as dusty and confused as the alley itself. Next, the enduring image of Billy the Kid as a charming, misunderstood outlaw. History has romanticized William H. Bonney as a young outlaw, handsome and forced into a life of crime by circumstance, a kind of frontier Robin Hood. We see the bright eyes, the easy smile, the youthful audacity that almost convinces us of his innocence. But the cold, hard truth is far less appealing. Billy the Kid is a brutal, cold-blooded killer. Although he certainly possesses charisma, he is responsible for numerous murders, often without remorse.
Grizzly in Deadwood?
His legend flourishes from a combination of sensationalist newspaper stories and a biography written by Pat Garrett, the very sheriff who kills him, which ironically helps cement his notoriety. He is not some tragic figure. He is a dangerous criminal involved in the bloody Lincoln County War, driven by revenge and a willingness to use violence without hesitation. The nickname Kid belies the hardened killer beneath the surface, a man who shoots first and rarely asks questions, whose charm is a dangerous facade for a lethal temperament. Believing the romanticized version is to ignore the very real body count he leaves in his wake, reducing human lives to mere footnotes in a thrilling adventure story. Let us debunk the notion of cowboys as fearless adventurers and gunslingers. Although cowboys certainly face dangers, their primary role is far less glamorous than depicted. They are, above all else, incredibly hard workers, often underpaid, tasked with herding cattle across vast and merciless landscapes. Their days are filled with dust, sweat, and monotony, not constant gunfights. The sun beats down on their skin, the smell of cattle and leather permeates their clothes, and the horizon stretches endlessly, promising only more miles of exhausting work. Although they may carry a pistol for protection against wild animals or cattle thieves, it is a tool, not a fashion accessory or a primary means of resolving conflict.
So there I was, face to face with that grizzly.
Roping, and livestock management,
hold my rifle and fire,
not marksmanship.
scare the daylights out of it.
The image of the cowboy as a lone wolf, always ready for a confrontation, eclipses the reality of communal work, long hours, and constant struggle against nature. They are more akin to modern ranch hands than the swashbuckling heroes of fiction, making the gunslinging cowboy myth a gross misrepresentation of their true lives and duties. Their existence is rough, but rarely theatrical. Consider the pervasive image of quick-draw duels at high noon. Hollywood loves this, Two men, eyes locked, hands hovering over holsters, waiting for the clock to strike 12 or the tumbleweed to roll by. Then a blur of motion and a man falls. The air is thick with anticipation, the silence broken only by the wind. This dramatic confrontation is almost entirely a myth. Real gunfights in the Old West are chaotic, sudden, and often drunken affairs. They rarely involve formal challenges or the theatrical tension of a movie duel. Most encounters are close-range ambushes, bar fights that escalate, or personal disagreements that turn deadly without warning. The idea of a fair fight, one-on-one, with rules and honor, is largely a construct of sensationalist fiction. Many gunfights are one-sided killings, or involve multiple shooters and a great deal of blind panic. The emphasis on the quick draw is more about readiness and surprise than a stylized contest of skill. The reality is dirty, brutal, and far less cinematic,
there it was, face to face with that
making the
grizzly.
high noon duel a terrible lie that
Home
romanticizes
rifle
sudden
fired,
and
scared
violent
the daylights
death.
out of it.
The idea of the lawless frontier, a land devoid of rules where anarchy reigns supreme, is another widely disseminated lie.
Grizzly.
While some remote areas are certainly dangerous and beyond the immediate reach of organized law enforcement, most frontier towns quickly establish their own forms of order. Vigilante justice, though brutal and often extra-legal, is a testament to the community's desire for rules. More often, towns adopt municipal regulations, appoint sheriffs or marshals, and establish courts. The murmur of law, however rudimentary, echoes through the dusty streets. Businesses thrive on stability, and settlers seek safety for their families and properties. The chaos depicted in films, with constant shootouts and widespread anarchy, is generally the exception, not the rule. People live their daily lives, build homes, farm, and run businesses, all of which require a minimum of order. The narrative of a completely untamed and anarchic West serves to emphasize the civilizing influence of newcomers, but ignores the significant efforts made by the pioneers themselves to create structured societies and enforce their own versions of law and order.
Yeah, get on back there!
Consider the allure of gold rushes and the promise of instant wealth. The California gold rush and subsequent booms throughout the West paint a picture of eager prospectors striking it rich with one lucky swing of a pickaxe. The terrible lie here is the instant wealth part.
So there it was,
For every person who gets
grizzly.
rich, hundreds,
Grizzly
if
in
not
Deadwood?
thousands,
Home rifle
toil in
fired,
miserable
scared the
conditions,
daylights out of it.
often earning barely enough to survive. The real money is made by those who sell supplies, run saloons, or operate transportation services, not necessarily the miners themselves. Mining is backbreaking work, rife with danger, disease, and disappointment. We see the exhausted faces, the calloused hands, the bodies bent under the weight of earth and hopelessness. Many arrive with grand dreams, only to leave broke, broken, or dead. The romanticized image of easy riches masks the exhausting labor, rampant exploitation, and shattered hopes that characterize the vast majority of prospectors' experiences. It is a lottery with terrible odds, but the myth of quick fortune persists, overshadowing the harsh economic realities of frontier extraction. The Old West, as we have learned, is a far more nuanced, complex, and often uncomfortable place than the legends would have us believe. It is not a land of clear heroes and villains, but of desperate individuals making difficult choices in an unforgiving landscape. The myths, while entertaining, frequently serve to obscure the brutal realities, the morally ambiguous characters, and the sheer human struggle that defines this crucial period of American history. By debunking these terrible lies, we gain a clearer, more accurate, and ultimately richer understanding of the true frontier. If you were enlightened by these revelations and want to keep diving deeper into the real stories behind the legends, do not forget to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you do not miss our next dive into the untold history of the American West. What other myths are you curious to unravel? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time,
it brings
keep
law and
questioning
order.
the stories
Together
you were
we
told.
build a future.